All right, guys, you have sufficiently pissed me off. Great. The YouTube comments and the Twitch comments actually pissed me off. You've provoked me into watching this video. Really didn't want to have to make a video against my friend. Really didn't want to do that whatsoever, but I guess we'll just do it because people think I'm dodging them. Wanted to attempt to be the bigger man, but hey, I guess we'll just do it again. Here's what I think this entire video is about, and maybe I'm wrong. This is the reason why I didn't deem it even worth watching, is that I think money could have been spent better else using a different game that would have better crossover for similar value. I think Nier Automata could have been a better crossover. That's all that I'm saying. Gachasmack, I feel like this video is going to say, hey, Tech, I think fighting games are a little bit more interested in anime games than you might think. I have a feeling by the end of this 33-minute video react, none of that's going to change. People don't grasp the fact that two people can be separately justified in what they both think. And we could call it a day, but for some reason people think I'm dodging this video. So I will react. I guarantee you my opinion won't change. I guarantee you at the end of this video, we're both going to be justified. And even though I did really try hard to not have to react to this, because I really don't feel good after having to react to Hex Juice and Legions and bitching them out. It didn't feel good at all. I guess we'll watch this, but if you pardon me, I'm going to put this in 1.25 speed. That way it's a little bit quicker, because I know for a fact my opinion is not going to change.
Two of my favorite quotes that I love to use, and I think it's quite befitting of this situation.
Sure.
The first quote is, "It is better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to speak and remove all doubt of being thought a fool." Meaning, once you open your mouth, you are a goddamn fool. There's no doubt about it. The other quote, it comes from Jack Ma, a Chinese billionaire, I believe. His says, "It is not dishonorable to say I don't know when asked to speak on a subject matter you just don't know about, you don't know enough about. It is, in fact, dishonorable when you speak up and pretend you know that which you do not." These two things are what come to mind when I go into this subject. I actually am a bit baffled that it's even controversial, because it should be a no-brainer that Zenless Zone Zero collaborating with Capcom is absolutely the best collaboration to do. There's just no question about it.
There is a question about it. That's just wrong. It's just you can't say that it is just the #1 collab. You just can't. Okay? Because the crossover for a strict fighting game, when you do collaborations, you want to ensure that the guaranteed crossover is there, and you ensure per dollar spent, you understand that the audiences have a higher chance to cross over. This is the reason why you get platformer streamers to play other platformer games, because it's much better for crossover. It is. And this is the reason why when I run Mad Mushroom, which is a video game publishing company, that is the reason why you would want to sponsor games that are similar but not the same, especially if they're also not competitors. When you get people to play a live service game, when they're like, you know, for example, Nier Automata is a game you play once and then you can play a live service game, because they won't compete because, well, they're not operating at the same time.
When you take a look at Zenless Zone Zero and you have extensive knowledge and experience as a fighting...
Okay, so let's just take that for what it is. That is just simply not true. If you want to know why I'm in a bad mood, it's because I really don't like doing shit like this. I really don't enjoy doing anything like this whatsoever, okay? But for example, if you wanted to guarantee an audience of people that like burgers, you would sponsor people who you know already like burgers to try more burgers, not take a risk and try to get people who like salads to try a burger. Right? That's why you do that, okay? Well, let's just continue. Then don't, no, I'm already pissed off, I'll just be real with you. I don't even feel like reacting to this, because I know nothing's going to fucking change.
In-game community player, and you know the origins of Capcom and the inspirations and the pioneer that they are for many different genres. It's a no-brainer that this collaboration is absolutely one of the best ways to market their video game, seeing as their video game has a...
It's a good way, it's not the best way, and that's the entire argument.
...number of overlaps with Capcom. Now, if you're not aware of
it has overlaps, but not the most overlaps.
These overlaps, that doesn't mean it's a bad collab. That means you're uninformed and unqualified to...
It's not a bad collab, it's just not the most efficient collab.
...speak on it. You should probably just zip your mouth and let people who are informed speak on it. Now, that's going to come off as a shot, because Tectone disagreed with me, and I know the majority of y'all know we are well acquainted.
We barely disagreed.
Tectone, somebody I broke bread with, somebody I love, who is actually a dear friend to me in the content creator space. Oh, this is not an attack on my brother. In fact,
this is why I don't even want to react to this.
I don't know what the fuck he was waffling about. I don't know if he woke up on the wrong side of the bed that day or just didn't activate his brain in the moment. I will say when he streams, he does everything pure improvisation off the top, which is still to me very impressive to do.
Yeah.
I want to give a little bit of context here. I made a video about Street Fighter and Capcom's collaboration, and I spoke about it in honestly a quite objective manner. This was not the kind of video you disagree with or becomes controversial, despite me being a very controversial figure in the gacha space due to my strong opinions and my against the grain takes often at times. I expect me to be controversial a number of times because how I am. Not with this though. This was not one of those videos. This is the kind of video where you just like speak positively of it and think about the the psychology behind the marketing tactics and what they're trying to achieve and tap into, which is the fighting game audience. But somehow the gacha community, not everybody, a number of people though found a way to make this a negative situation, and I just feel like that is the most wild shit to make this. Like, how did you even do that? That's impressive. But again, somebody who I respect with a degree of intelligence is supporting this perspective, and they're on the other side of the fence, which is why I have to address it because it's gotten public. He didn't upload it to his personal channel. I think the more Tectone channel.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I didn't even feel comfortable uploading this shit on my main channel, right? Because I was asked to talk about it, and so I talked about it on stream. And then I thought that would just be the end of it. And then my editor took it and uploaded it to more Tectone, which to be fair, the video did quite good. But I don't know why people are so upset about this. Like, I don't know. It's just tiring. This is I really don't like feuding with Gachasmack because I actually really like this guy. I really do. And I know people are going to get pissed off, but it is what it is. This is one of these dramas that I just don't feel like doing at all, but we'll continue.
It was not even ran by him. Somebody else did. But he did go on stream and say this shit and say, I made a bad take. Of course, we're going to defend that. We're going to explain why not only Tectone is ignorant, but why a lot of you motherfuckers is ignorant. So let's go ahead and get into it and watch his reaction.
Sure.
Before I start the video, I want to make this explicitly clear. The premise of this argument is that fighting game players don't care about gacha games. That's the premise of the argument.
No, the premise of the argument is that fighting game players don't care as much as other games player could. Once again, I would like to state this for the last time. This isn't about the collab being bad, that there could be better collabs to do, and the recommendation would have been a Nier Automata one, the one that would have been, the one that's used all the time. This shit is so tiring.
That Tectone backs and says is a fair statement. Now, before I start the video, I also want to give a little bit of glazing here. Tectone is a legendary figure in the gacha space. He has made some serious waves in these waters. He has built up, I can't even keep track of how many content creators he has built up and shed lights on, including my channel. He's even shed a light on my channel. The thing is, if this argument were the other way around and he was saying that gacha players don't give a damn about fighting games, I wouldn't even be having this discussion because I respect Tectone's well-versed and extensive knowledge in this space and the tenure that he's been in this space. As I said, he's a very intelligent individual, and often at times I agree with the majority of his takes. The problem, the underlying issue, is that Tectone is not that figure in the fighting game community. In fact, I would argue he's probably an amateur based off of the responses he gave in this video. So to speak on behalf of the fighting game community goes back to those quotes I brought up earlier. To speak about things and pretend you know those that you do not, or to open your mouth about a situation you don't fully understand, that is the definition of ignorance. So with that being...
Just because I don't understand the fighting game community doesn't mean I don't understand that games that are more similar will have better crossover. It's really not that deep.
Being stated, let's get into it.
This is Gachasmack being based? Okay, here we go. Oh, Jesus Christ, here we go. All right, context of this post. My most recent video discussed the potential collab between Hoyo and Capcom. As usual, salty gacha players are saying it won't succeed when it releases. Fighting game players don't care about gacha games, etc. I feel like that's a fair statement for this part.
So fighting game players don't care about gacha games. He feels like that's a fair statement.
I feel like this is fair to say. And I'll explain why that is. This is also hilarious because gacha players do this constantly. Gacha players trying to give their takes on what the fighting game community would or would not be interested in. Comedy of the week. I wonder why he feels that way.
So the reason I feel that way is basically what I just said earlier. The comedy in it is that a gacha player only cares about tits and ass and anime waifus. They don't know shit about what a fighting game community is interested in unless they themselves are a fighting game player. But that's the people I'm referring to. It's very important to have that context. This is the general gacha player we are referring to.
Hawkeye Star Rail won't... Gacha gamers are more so casual. That's why it's on mobile. And then hardcore fighters for competitive games are a lot more competitive. Right? So already you have a disconnect in that community. I'm not saying it can't exist, but there's already a disconnect. I mean, this shit is just, oh God, I feel like it's so baby Mickey Mouse level to explain. Succeed. Best-selling gacha game the majority this year. Yeah, of course, we all knew that. People who weren't dumb for this. Wuthering Waves won't succeed. Made over $100 million in the first, or $100 million in the first month and seeking more enjoyment. With overwhelming success. Of course, yeah, we all predicted this. Of course, we all said, we said both of these things. Zone Zero will fail. I have not been saying that. I've been saying Zone Zero is going to do great due to the fact that it's a Hoyoverse title. Do we see a trainer? Yes, self-proclaimed experts in marketing game trajectory. Fighting game players don't care about a gacha game. I was literally a massive fighting game player, and before I give a shit about gacha game, knew what it was. So was EO. EO look at running. Okay, so that's two people saying we like fighting games, so that means everybody likes fighting games. This is a really shit thing.
And here's where we're going to take the issue at, but I'll let him cook a little bit longer.
I'm going to just keep it back. Yeah, so I'm gonna break something down.
So before he goes into a guy scores a goal in soccer, but that was a nice shot. That's anyway. It's irrelevant. I'm
gonna break something down, everybody, real quick.
Okay, I just wanted to get him off that screen. Anyways, here's my problem with the rebuttal that he made there. He said that That's just two people. Now, what he's implying here is that I need to summon the entirety of the fighting game community to vouch for the same thing that I said in order to make it valid, which I think is an absolute, not only unrealistic and delusional take, it's just...
No, it's not unreasonable. It's not delusional. What I'm saying is when you state one person feels one thing, that means that everybody feels that same way. It is quite literally just look at the demographic, look what the players are interested in, see what can overlap and what doesn't, and then see what has the most overlap. I'm going to say this 18,000 times throughout this video.
It's just a bad rebuttal. If one or two people are well versed and have extensive knowledge in a field of expertise, one or two people is all you need. Often at times when you go to take care of anything in your life, you're going to talk to one or two people. If I wanted to know about the UFC, I can go talk to any diehard UFC fan and get the general consensus about the UFC.
Yeah, and it's going to be overly biased because you just said you were talking to a diehard fan.
Wanted to know about gacha games, I can go and talk to Tectone as somebody who doesn't know anything about gacha games. Say, hey Tech, what's the gacha community like? I can grab,
and you're going to get a very biased opinion.
Maybe 2 or 3 content creators in the gacha community, and they'll give me the entire rundown with clarity, and they'll be pretty goddamn spot on about
with insane bias
the temperature of the community's interest, what sparks their passion, and why they are interested in gacha games. The same thing.
That's why it's important to not talk about super fans. That's why it's very important to talk to a general consensus of casual, new players, old players, medium players, in order to get a full opinion. It's just not that complicated, guys.
Goes for anybody in the fighting game space.
I don't know how anybody thinks this is a video cooking me, but like, God, this shit is just so irritating that I have to watch.
I am somebody, in fact, give me a second here. I'll go ahead and type it out real quick. Okay, so these are all the fighting games I've played in my lifetime. Now, anybody who is a fighting game fanatic will look at that resume, if you want to call it, and come to the conclusion that I am far from a novice in fighting games. This is not like a flex or anything. This is to prove to you that somebody who's played these amounts of fighting games has played a shit ton of ranked matches, has played against a lot of fighting game players. You understand this shit intrinsically.
I've also played a shit ton of fighting games.
You understand it profoundly. Everything about a fighting game that makes a fighting game enjoyable, I'm going to know about it because I've played way too many of them. Same thing with Tectone when it comes to a gacha game. If you talk to Tectone about gacha games, he can tell you precisely why people enjoy them, what's good about them, what's bad about them, because he's well versed in that realm. So when you use the 1 or 2 people is a bad or shit take argument, it's actually a shit take to say that in and of itself, because if those 1 or 2 people are absolute experts in the space...
Bro, you look so dead inside? Yeah, because this shit is just so fucking stupid.
That would imply that they're capable of telling you what sparks that niche's interest and passion.
Like, let me just show you the only reason why I'm here right now. I want you to look at how many fucking retards are on this post. Dodged, Gachasmack side, L friend, watch the video, coward, rare techie L. Like, I mean, good God, this shit is just so not complicated. Like, I don't even know how people are even pretending to disagree. Like, if you literally think Street Fighter is the #1 best game for crossover, good God, you're just wrong. It's a good one, but it's not the best one, and that's the whole point. Like, Jesus Christ. It's barely a disagreement. It's barely a disagreement. You look soulless? Yeah, because the community's being fucking retarded. This shit is just so lame.
And what's enjoyable about it, and how you could draw a correlation to whatever we're comparing it to, which is Zenless Zone Zero. To conclude that little rant, you don't need a whole community.
He says one of the best. Jesus Christ, guys. He literally says it is the best one. Okay, let's just keep going.
To define what a community is interested in, you only need a group of people who's been in that community long enough to explain to you the temperature. So I would say it's actually a shit take to think I need to rally an army. However, I do have proof, and we'll show that proof as well.
I'm not saying you need to rally an armor. I'm just saying when you go to find an opinion on what a player base wants, you don't go to 1 or 2 figureheads. You take a consensus of what casual players, newer players, people who haven't even played the game but have only seen the game, and that's how you get an accurate opinion of what the community's game base is actually going to be like and perceived. Right? That's why it's important, because you're not only trying to attract the hardcore players, because the hardcore players, the people who stream it, are of the very, very, very small minority, where the majority of players are casual players, and that's who are the most people who have the most opportunity to fucking swap, because casual players have less interest in fucking die-hard fanatics and are more open to going somewhere else because they're not very committed. Does that make sense? I don't get how anybody's not understanding this.
If he needs more than 1 or 2 people, we can show more than 1 or 2 people. But if the argument here is, oh, you need to have 1 million people, yeah, it's a stupid fucking argument.
No, it's called a consensus, man. It's a Jesus Christ. Like this is why you run polls, right? This is why you run polls. Who cares what crossover it is? I'm just saying I think Hoyoverse could have spent their money better for a game that has better crossover, right? Like, dude, Who thinks you don't need a poll to gauge general public interest? It's a thing that's been used as old as time. Just in case everybody needs to know, right? Just in case everybody needs to know. All right. So fighting game players.
Yep.
Gotcha game players. All right. What?
Now, at this part, I thought this was funny because I was like, okay, bro's about to show me his knowledge of fighting games. He's about to show some, like, what a fighting game is all about, the similar interests or the interests they don't have. I thought he was about to go into detail right here. This was fucking hilarious.
Can we directly infer? I'm not going into detail because it's really not that deep and I really don't give a fuck by these two players. Okay. What can we tell about these two players? Okay. The biggest thing, fighting game players like fighting games. Yeah.
Let's see if he makes some. Let's see if he puts some more up in there. Maybe he puts some more up in there.
Gotcha game players like gotcha games. All right. So these are both directly what we can infer.
So brother said, hey, why does your kids, why do they like Mickey Mouse? Well, because it's Mickey Mouse. So what I find fascinating about this is, for me, I'm speaking on behalf of me, this is very telling to me that Tectone is an amateur in the fighting game genre.
Nah. So what you're not understanding is that statement would have been correct if I said, oh, this baby likes baby stuff. See, you already misunderstood my point. So you brought in Mickey Mouse out of nowhere, right? So I'm just using the exact same people to let you know that a fighting game player like fighting games. That is a 100% factual statement. That's the truth. A baby, you would have to assume to like Mickey Mouse. You could assume they might like Mickey Mouse, but you don't know that, right? But you know a gotcha game player would like a gotcha game. That is a 100% factual statement. Not every baby likes Mickey Mouse, but every gotcha game player will like gotcha games. Every fighting game player will like a fighting game. And that's why they're fighting game players. And that's why they're gotcha game players. You have to try to misunderstand this.
If he wasn't an amateur, if he was a veteran and somebody who was well-versed, he would have put a lot of things down that indicate why fighting game players play fighting games. And in the process of doing so, he would actually it would give him the answer. He would have an epiphany as he's doing it. Oh, that's why they would like Zenless Zone Zero. That's why they would find interest in Zenless Zone Zero. Since he didn't do it, though, allow me to do that for you. Let's go ahead and pull up.
Okay, well, first of all, I've written one sentence so far. Okay? I've written one fucking sentence. And secondly, once again, this isn't about it being a bad collab. I'm just saying it's not the best collab they could have done.
Up my little notepad. Let's do the exact same thing that Tectone did. Let's come over here. And let's do the same thing here. We don't have to make it this big. Okay, so fighting game players, what do they like? Let's start off with the premise here real quick. Flamboyant moves, i.e. ultimates, super moves, special abilities, which, by the way, the founder of this.
Well, it really depends on what fighting game you're playing. Okay? Because the reason why this is just demonstrably untrue is because when you play a game like Super Smash Brothers, there's a lot of people who turn the Smash balls off because they don't like ultimates, because they think it trivializes their gameplay. And you know why people turn off the Smash balls? Because it makes it too easy and lack depth, and that's why the crossover wouldn't be there for gotcha games. That's why they turn off items. Smash isn't a fighting game. How do you figure that Smash isn't a fighting game? Then what do you think it is? Smash Brothers. Fighting game. Like, what? How in the fuck do you think Smash isn't a fighting game? Like, do you know what people in Street Fighter 6 2 didn't like? The drive meter. They felt like it trivialized competitive play, or at least the ones that I've spoken to when I was in the Street Fighter 6 tournament, and they felt it was cheesy. The same thing for how they criticized players who played E-Honda because it was spammy bullshit and lack of skill. So that's why I don't think fighting game players, a lot of them, I think there is a pretty good chunk of people who don't like those things, and these aren't objectively true due to the fact that a lot of fighting game players like serious serious combat. And that's why I don't think the crossover is as big as you might think. It's not that hard to understand. So this is just, it's just simply not true. Jesus Christ, guys. Like, dude, I don't know. I don't even know how any of y'all are pretending. There's really not that many of y'all, but like, I don't even know how y'all are pretending like I'm not making sense here. It's really not that hard. Let's just keep continuing. Okay, dude, L take. You can keep on saying L take, but you can't explain why it's an L take, and you don't even know why you're saying that to the one guy who typed that. Jesus Christ, bro. It's really not that hard. You cherry-picked one game where they turned off alts. I actually picked Street Fighter 6, which is the actual collab, the one that they're doing the collab with Drive Meter, as well as Smash Bros. And that's not a cherry pick. That's just me thinking of one. And the other thing is, that's also kind of the point of this argument where I'm saying the biggest, and also it's Smash Bros. It's the biggest fighting game in the fucking world, right? Like, I can understand if you were like, oh yeah, BlazBlue does this, but it's Smash. It's the biggest one in the fucking world with the most casuals who fucking play it. I mean, dude, I just don't know how the fuck y'all are even pretending this shit makes sense.
Is Capcom Street Fighter. First game of all time to put super moves and special abilities and ultimates in their game that looks super flashy and flamboyant, as I stated. What's this have in common? Zenless Zone Zero, Wuthering Waves, Hoyo games. All right, now let's continue on. What else do fighting game players like? They like intricate combat depth. Okay, what's an intricate combat depth?
Not Zenless Zone Zero. Oh my god. Are we gonna pretend that Street Fighter and Zenless Zone Zero have the same intricate combat? Oh my god.
Parry, dodge, meter management. There we go. That's a good one. Punishment, right? Punishing somebody after being patient. All right, let's continue on. Iframes, plus and minus, and we'll throw in timing. Now you can even think of a couple of more intricate combat depth mechanics, but all of these are also very attractive to a fighting game player. What does that have in common? ZZZ, Hoyo games, Souls games. Pretty much any games, that have that, a fighting game player is going to enjoy it. Let's continue.
Yeah, so did you know that in Street Fighter, when you press down B, they do a kick, which means that Street Fighter players will really like FIFA because they also kick in that game. Yeah, dude. Like, okay.
Continue on. What else do fighting game players enjoy? Bad bitches that can throw hands. Gigachats that are muscular and can throw hands. And they don't have to be muscular, but this is something that fighting game players love. What do they have in common? ZZZ, Hoyo games.
Yep.
Souls games, and pretty much any other games that have that shit. Now,
okay, so I was with you here for this one. I'm here for you. I do agree both games have bad bitches. These two takes are wrong. They are wrong, right? Just because you can do a couple of the same things, it's the way that you do them that are very different. Like, we're also not mentioning spacing or footsies or neutral. We didn't mention any of that. And if you played fighter games, you probably know all that shit. But yeah, I agree the characters are very hot. However, the amount of bad bitches in a Souls game is pretty much zero.
Why might a gacha player think this is a bad collaboration? This was the next thing that came into my brain. Sure. I was trying to put myself into the mind frame of these guys.
Once again, it's not that it's a bad collaboration, but you could consider it bad due to there being better options. But we're just saying that it's not the best collab.
Why would they absolutely think this is a bad collaboration? Well, here's one. Ignorance. They don't actually know anything about the correlations of a fighting game and an action game. Ignorance. They just don't even know, right? I think it's very telling that fighting game players equals like fight games. It's very telling to me that Tectone was incapable of even knowing why a fighting game player likes fighting games.
No, I do know what it's like. I don't know why you assume I don't know what it's like. They're really not that deep. They're really not that hard to understand. I've competed in fighting game tournaments. I've played many fighting games. Guilty Gear, BlazBlue, Smash, Mortal Kombat, Tekken, Street Fighter. Even some of the old games like Shonen Jump, All Stars. I could list a lot more. But yeah, it's really not that hard to understand. I'm also quite good at them for how little that I play them. It's just really not that hard, right? But like, I mean, this is just fucking, it's just such a dumb argument.
shows that he's a novice. And this is not disrespect to him. I'm just keeping it a buck. What the fuck is that? I thought bro was about to cook. He put out the notepad and everything. And bro
Oh yeah, also Marvel versus Capcom too.
said fighting. Anyways, we're going to continue on here. Number 2, fighting games and gacha games are on opposite sides of the fence. What I mean by that is a gacha player might think this is a bad collaboration because fighting game players are super hardcore players, very competitive, and they get super sweaty, whereas gacha games are completely opposite. Super casual, very chill, and, you know, just obviously the complete opposite of a fighting game. That means it's a bad collaboration. Actually, to the contrary, if you're a fighting game player, it's very fucking stressful. I don't know if some of y'all might think of that as a joke. I'm not lying to you. That shit is stressful as fuck. It's the most stressful niche in the gaming industry. More stressful than a Souls game. Because nothing is more defeating than you spending hours and hours in practice and ranked matches just to go to the tournament and get humbled by a motherfucker who ain't had a haircut in 6 years.
Right. So recommending a game where people really like high stress environments and then giving them a game that has almost zero stress environments. Can you see how I don't think there'd be that big of a crossover?
It's a very humiliating thing. It's a big blow to the pride.
If you say let them finish one more time, chat, I'm gonna blow you up.
And they live that every day, day in and day out. And they go in ranked matches and they get clapped, or, you know, it just gets very fucking competitive. So it's very stress induced. So when they go to play other games, they're actually looking for the exact opposite, but can still.
You don't know that. You cannot prove that. You can assume that, but you can't prove that. Every single person deals with stress a different way. Some people go out for walks. Some people have sex. Some people masturbate. Some people eat good food. Some people like to just relax or watch a TV show. You cannot prove the fact that after a long game of fighting games, they really want to relax with a nice gacha. You cannot prove that.
They'll offer a bit of that itch of what makes a fighting game passion spark. So the thing that a gacha player is thinking is bad is actually good for a fighting game player. I will actually show proof, though, of fighting game players liking gacha games. We'll get to that. But at first, I had to.
Yes. Show me somewhere where you can prove that every fighting game player likes gacha games. Because I promise you, I can show you the exact opposite.
My brother on this because bro thought he was cooking and he wasn't cooking. All right, let's get to it.
Now, what can we not infer? What can we not infer? Like gacha games. And why is that? Because they're not gacha game players. They're fighting game players.
Does Tech think fighting game players are incapable of playing anything that's not a fighting game?
No, I don't think that, Gachasmack. But when I talk in my actual video game publishing company, this is how we go about understanding our target demographic. You know, the thing I do for a career.
Like, bro, Tech, you realize fighting game players are down to play anything where they can fight, right? A fighting game player just wants to fight. It's
okay. Then I guess a fighting game player is down to fight anything, and oh, Jesus Christ, bro. It's just so different, bro. It's so different, bro. Yeah, man, I bet a fighting game player is going to love going into Minecraft and chopping wolves with their sword. Yeah, man, I know.
It's not exclusive to the fighting game genre. Fighting exists in a lot of games.
I know, man. I bet a Street Fighter player is going to love to boot up Final Fantasy 14 and do raid fights. The thing is that they're just so different in the way that you fight. However, fighting game players and gacha game players like fighting games and gacha games. Okay? Yep.
And this, I want to say this right now because I don't want Tectone to look like an idiot.
I'm not, Smack. The thing is that you're just not understanding that I'm breaking this down very simply first before going into it later. It's very not hard to understand. It's really not that. I'm just breaking it down because I'm talking in objective truths are the only things that you can prove. It's really not difficult.
He's temporarily a bit of an idiot in this situation. This is a very smart guy. I genuinely think in this instance, bro's streaming live. Maybe he didn't have a lot of sleep. I think he's straight up talking out his ass right now. And he's not able to gather his thoughts as well as he could. Like I said, I don't even know why he's doing this. This is what I'm saying. This is one of those where it's like, stop pretending to know some shit you don't know, brother.
Smack, just this is so fucking embarrassing, dude. Jesus Christ.
This is horrible. Bro, you said the same thing 3 times.
No. Okay, Smack. What I did is say, what are objective truths that you can understand? A gacha player likes gacha games. That is an objective truth. There is no reach for that whatsoever. Okay? That is something that you can prove. Fighting game players like fighting games. That is a objective truth, right? That is something that you actually can prove. There is no required source material outside of that. Now, for this one, fighting game players and also gacha game players would like fighting games and gacha games because that is what they do. I'm breaking this down very simply because we don't need to complicate it. It's very not hard to understand. So what am I getting at here? What am I really getting at? Right, here we go. What I'm getting at is, while we can't directly infer that a fighting game player maybe won't like a gacha game.
There's plenty of ways to do that. You can just go and talk to a bunch of fighting game community players.
But didn't you just say at the beginning of the video that you couldn't just do that? Like, didn't you just say that, oh, well, I don't want to talk to a million players, so I can't do that. And now you're just saying talk to a million different players? Okay. Also can't know that assuredly.
Yes, we can.
No, you can't.
We absolutely can.
No, you can't.
You dismissed it earlier when I told you I was a massive fighting game player as well as EO, and that we still got reeled in.
I don't give a fuck if you like ice cream. You won't know everybody who likes ice cream and what flavors they want because it's very different.
Which means if two people who were massive fighting game players who played thousands of ranked matches still got roped into a gacha genre they didn't give a fuck about prior to, that would mean.
So majority the hardcore player fan base of these games are generally the ones who end up destroying it because they over pander and they only think about what they want in a game and not what the general populace wants to attract new players. That's why generally games that pander to their hardcore fan base end up dying because they're not drawing in any new players whatsoever. That's why Hoyoverse is very smart because they ignore all the hardcore players and they just make casual update after casual update for new players and new players and new players. That way they extend their audience, but the dedicated community just fucking hates their ass.
We're capable of liking gacha games because by definition, we could represent a lot of fighting game players. But again, we will show other people that also have the same notion. I will reveal footage from Max.
Bro. Dude, Jesus Christ. I went into a random streamer's chat yesterday and then asked them, hey, do you like Zenless Zone Zero? And they didn't even know what the fuck it was. That doesn't prove your narrative for the most appeal whatsoever. This doesn't even pull anything, bro. It proves nothing.
I will also show a community post of mine, which he's reading right now, where a literal fighting game legend in space comments on it. And I'm in the gacha space. So the fact that a fighting game player saw my post is also very telling.
Right, telling but not proving. Like, oh dude, a fighting game guy likes it. Oh my god. We also really can't know that assuredly. Okay, now we could know that an anime watcher who also plays open world RPGs might like an anime open world RPG.
And see, in this instance is when it dawned on me. You're finding similarities from an anime watcher and a gacha game, but you can't find similarities between a fighting game and the same thing because you don't know the similarities. You don't.
No, dude, I already went through the fucking similarities, dude. Holy shit, this is so retarded. Jesus Christ. I even wrote it all out on Paint and I drew it, but it's an anime fucking watching game. Compared to a gacha game, they're both anime and they're both casual experiences, so there could be a crossover. That's all I'm saying, dude.
Don't see the fucking overlap that's slapping you right in the head. I already pointed it out earlier though, but this is the issue. This is his whole issue and the issue of a lot of people who probably have the same mindset. They literally are incapable because they don't know that all of this shit here that's in the Zenless Zone Zero and Hoyo and Wuthering Waves games, it originated from fighting games and from Capcom. The swap mechanic. You know how all these games have a swap mechanic in them. Any fighting game player out there will tell you where that swap mechanic came from.
Marvel versus Capcom 2.
Marvel versus Capcom.
Why do you think I don't know this? It's also like not even like hard to know that. Why would I not know that? I even know the fucking theme song. Wanna take you for a ride. Da-da-da-dun, da-da-da-dun, da-da-da-da. Wanna take you for a ride. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. Bro, I do things off stream. Like, I don't know like what this guy thinks, but like I'm a 30-year-old dude that was raised on video games. I didn't even have parents. They were never around. Parents were divorced. Lived with my mom and my dad. My mom would never talk to me. My dad would just drink alcohol all day. So I was raised by the Nintendo. I was raised on fighting games. Dragon Ball Z, Budokai Tenkaichi. I played all of them. Like, I've played all of these fucking games. Like, the thing is that it's just a stretch. And these things don't assure potential crossover. They imply it. But there's still a lot of risk, and it's about risk management when you are attempting to use your finances on making the best potential crossover. Once again, it's not a bad crossover, but I think there are better crossovers to be done, and that's really not that hard of a take.
Yep. King of Fighters as well. Didn't come from a Hoyo game. No, they replicated that.
Well, obviously, it wouldn't have come from a Hoyo game, nor did I ever think it would have come from a fucking Hoyo game, because Hoyo's been around for like, what, fucking 10 years, and fighters have been around for like 40. Like, fucking obviously, Jesus Christ.
Was inspired heavily by Capcom in fighting games. Overlaps hit you right in the face if you just pay attention, brother.
But we can't directly infer that a fighting game... Yeah, man. Just like, oh, dude, Skyrim has grass, and Breath of the Wild has grass. Oh, dude, Animal Crossing has grass. Let's do a Skyrim X Animal Crossing crossover, dude, because they both have grass. What I'm saying is there's just more crossovers that you can fucking do in other games, bro. Like, Jesus Christ. It's the same thing for, like, Blue Protocol and Genshin Impact, right? Where the games are the majority the same, but one's an MMO. Right, that's why a lot of players who are excited about Blue Protocol played Genshin Impact, because the crossover was very huge. I'm not saying a Blue Protocol and Genshin Impact collab should happen, but I'm saying is you can kind of understand why a Blue Protocol player would have been interested in Genshin Impact. Player and a gacha game will have a huge crossover for one, not a fighting game RPG, because there's no similarity, right? There's combat. However, we don't call fighting games combat games. We call them fighting games.
Like, I'll be honest, brother. The more I watch this shit, the funnier it is. The funnier it is. Because bro is just waffling, guys. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna be real, Smack. The more I watch this shit, the more I don't want to watch this shit. It's really not that deep. Like, this shit is very not hard to understand. Straight up.
Bro's literally waffling.
Right, but I think the crossover for fighting games and gacha games are so much lower than one might actually realize, due to the fact that there is no proof of concept that gacha game players and fighting game players have a huge overlap. And also, not understanding the difference between fighting and combat is very different. There's a big difference when you're taking a Chun-Li and fighting a Ryu in an instance arena where you can play footsies and do neutral game, versus a player doing Minecraft Bed Wars. There's a very big difference between fighting and combat, right? The complexity of everything you can do, the spacing that you can do, it's just very, very, very different.
That is due to your ignorance. There's a massive proof of concept, as I've already explained to you.
What I'm saying is, while it might not be a bad idea to advertise a gacha game to a fighting game player, Jesus Christ. It might not be the most efficient use of your money.
Now we're getting into the reaching zone here. We're reaching.
No, this is my entire point. There is no reach here whatsoever. This is the whole point of my video that I literally said verbatim. There's no reach. I quite literally just said it is not a bad idea, but I don't think it's the best idea.
Right? Because we're trying to dictate how Hoyoverse could better spend their money without understanding the functionality and identity of what Hoyo views their Zenless Zone Zero game as, which they know that better than anybody.
Smack, I'll make this very simple, right? What video game publishing company do you run? Because you keep on telling me how I don't play fighting games, where I have proved that I've played fighting games. I would like to know, what experience in the professional field of video game publishing do you do? I would love to know. Because I promise you, as a guy where I've been doing this for well over a year and a half now, as a professional, I think I know what I'm talking about. And as a guy who's also run an ad agency for over 3 years, I think I know about what advertisers want to spend their money on for certain creators. I believe I understand that. This isn't my opinion. This is a fucking fact with professional experience in the field. I think I know something about marketing, considering that I'm now helping run the most successful ad agency on the fucking planet. So yeah, I do find this very ignorant. And I think a DM just to settle this would have been very easy and say, hey, why did you say this? That's why I didn't post this shit on my fucking main channel, man. That's it. Shit is actually starting to piss me off. I'm not gonna lie, I still like Smack, but this shit's just fucking annoying and embarrassing, bro. Straight up.
Anybody else. Here's the thing that I know that I can comment on with the knowledge that I do have. The gacha genre has been captured in whole by Hoyoverse. It has officially entered the realms of saturated in terms of marketing. Now they're still going to market the genre to keep.
No, Hoyoverse doesn't have control over the entire gacha space. They have a big chunk of the gacha space, but there's a lot of players who don't want to play Hoyoverse. It's an exaggerative statement.
Keep their paws on it, to keep their grips on it. But
you look so bored? Yeah, obviously, because I've had experience with this for multiple years, and then I have some guy who's played a couple of games telling me I don't know what I'm talking about. It's like the take that I made was just so non-disruptive. It was so non-thermal. Like it was barely incendiary. It was literally, hey, I don't think this is the best collab we could have done. I think we could have done something else. Is it really that crazy?
But it is absolutely saturated. So the percentage of them capturing newer players from the gacha space has been severely diminished. They're definitely receiving diminishing returns at this point and falling on the same exact people, which is still important. But that said, if they tap into another genre that also synergizes with the identity and functionality of their games, such as fighting games, the percentage of tapping into players is way fucking higher because it's unsaturated. They can capture a lot more players in that space than they could in the gacha space. Hopefully that shit makes sense.
Okay. So let me tell you why this shit doesn't make sense. Because I'm not telling you to take this gacha game and do crossover with another gacha game. I don't know where he thought he heard that, but I didn't say that. At least I haven't said it yet. So the other thing you have to understand, it's a lot harder to get someone to try something new than it is for them to try something familiar. And case in point, brand familiarity is everything on this earth. Okay? That's the whole reason why even still Coca-Cola markets and markets and markets Coca-Cola, because you're familiar with that product. Okay? Brand familiarity is absolutely everything. And that's why people also like sponsoring players in the fighting game space to try out the new fighting game. You want to know why? Because of brand familiarity. Okay, and if you can get someone that you already know who plays fighting games to play the new fighting game, then you'll have more of a better crossover, okay? That's why we get Asmongold to play the new MMOs, and that's why we don't get Asmongold to play the new Tekken, because brand familiarity is fucking everything. That's why they sponsor me to play the gacha games, and they don't get me to play the new Roblox update. Because of brand familiarity. Am I making sense here, guys? Are you understanding what I'm saying here? Does that make sense? Okay, because, I really feel like this really isn't that complicated. And I really don't understand why we're trying to do this whole clown show over something that's just quite literally just a fact. For the most direct crossover and transfer for both player bases. Does that make sense? Bro, what are we even talking about? What's the downside of this? Genuine question. Using your money inefficiently when you could be advertising better to a demographic that would have a guaranteed better crossover. We're upset over that? Like, that's what we're upset about. Is that just because I'm not saying Street Fighter isn't the #1 best collab of all time, and I explain that so clearly, do I look upset? Do I look like I'm clowning on anybody? Am I laughing in anybody's face? Absolutely not. But it's a very non-incendiary take. And the fact that people can't understand that there were better crossovers that could have been done, the collab is still fine, but there could have been a better crossover. And that's the only thing I said. So I really don't understand how we're doing this 33-minute Mickey Mouse clown fiesta shit. And guys, don't get me wrong. If I look pissed off, it's because I am. I have a lot of shit going on behind the scenes, and the community is being very irritating about this because you guys don't understand the business like I do. Because I have actual experience, and I have successful experience as well. I've been a hand part of releasing some very successful games, built this shit from the ground up. Another guy who would probably know quite a bit about this is Mtashed. Because Mtashed also helps a lot for running ad agencies and understanding who works well with who. Give us examples. I've been helping a lot with Splody, which is a new game that's already sold many thousands of copies from a company that we're building from the ground up, which has been doing very well. We've also had Rumble Club. We also have a future release in Atomic Picnic, and Atomic Picnic has well over 400,000 pre-orders. 400,000 active wish list. So I think I know what I'm talking about here, guys. And I understand if you want to, and once again, I love Smack. Think he's great, but I think he's just kind of missing the point here on this very non-incendiary take.
So, and here's the thing, I don't think Tectone is not cooking here when he says that, but we're talking about $1 billion company here who it's not inefficient. There's actually no loss. If they market to anything they choose to market at, there's only the results and a potential net gain of a following of people who are going to stick with them throughout their games.
Okay, sure. You could just say they're a $1 million company and they can just spend $1 billion on everything. Sure. Okay. Go ahead. The point remains that it's inefficient. Case in point. How'd that Aloy collab go with Horizon Zero Dawn? Nobody gave a fuck. It was legit just a waste of money. And you know what else this waste? Time and development cycles that they could just be using to make the game better. outsourcing their company, getting new employees. I guess if you just want to say, well, they have $1 billion, they can do whatever. Okay. Sure. Then just let them burn money. That's the whole point, though, is that I don't know why they're burning money. Because you know what would have been a really good collab? A Genshin Impact Breath of the Wild crossover would have been amazing. Agreed? Honkai Star Rail. Hear this? Honkai Star Rail Persona 5 collab would have been fucking amazing. The crossover would have been fucking nuts. And that's legit all I'm saying. If you want to have the take, well, they just gonna burn money forever, then go ahead. But like, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about the logistics. God, I'm just talking about the logistics of the most efficient crossover. It's really not that deep. I mean, Jesus Christ, this shit makes me want to fucking puke. Let me piss real quick. God, I feel like I'm wasting my fucking breath.
There's really no net loss. I'm serious. And I don't know why Tech is reaching here. Maybe there's something deeper into this shit that I don't know about. But he's...
Yeah, it's that these collabs take time. They take a lot of money, right? But if you want to say, well, they're $1 billion company, just do them forever, great. Then you can have that take. But what I'm saying is there could have been better collabs. That's why I'm saying both points can be completely justified, right? Sure, they can spend $1 billion. Fuck it. They can spend $10 million today and they don't care. Okay, that's true. The same statement can also be true. There could have been better collabs. Both of those are absolutely correct. We don't need to do this thing where we need to prove each other wrong, okay? You can be absolutely justified in your point, but to act like you're disproving anything is just fucking embarrassing.
I don't know what the... I don't know. He's reaching. I don't know what else to say about this.
There's no reach whatsoever. I'll go back and let's just hear what reach I have. When you could be advertising better to a demographic that would have a guaranteed better crossover.
So
there's no reach there whatsoever. If you think saying that there was better collabs that could have been done is a reach, it's just simply not. But I guess I can do Mickey Mouse logic too and say they a $1 billion company, they have billions of dollars, just burn it.
I don't know. He's reaching. I don't know what else to say about this. It's just a fucking reach.
Hopefully that makes sense, right? So what I'm saying is it might work. The risk is a lot higher than one might know when you could just be advertising for other genres that might have much easier crossover.
I feel like he's walking it back in his mind as he's walking himself through it, but I feel like it's that meme in, I forget the name of the show, with all the goofy motherfuckers like Seth Rogen and James Franco, where they're like, come back, and he's like, no, I've already walked too far, and he just doesn't want to walk it back.
So, okay, let's go over what I just said, and then you tell me what was wrong about what I said.
I don't know what else to say about this. It's just a fucking reach.
Hopefully that makes sense, right? So what I'm saying is it might work. It might work. Risk is a lot higher than one might know when you could just be advertising for other genres that might have much easier crossover. And the game might not have as good crossover as another game. I don't know what you think I'm not understanding here, but it's a very, very, very simple thing to say.
Already walked too far, and he just doesn't want to walk it back.
So hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, I feel like saying me, and once again, love Gachasmack before.
Hey, it's same here, brother. Love you too.
Or anybody thinks I have beef with this guy. Love Gachasmack, love EO, love.
I don't think it has anything to do with me. I'm gonna keep it a stack with y'all. I don't know what the fuck's going on. Maybe he's pissed off about.
Man, this is a hard watch. Yeah, I know, because while people were originally in here saying, "Oh, you're dumb, you're dumb, you're dumb," it makes a lot of sense when I break it down, doesn't it? But the problem is that I assume people would just understand without me making it this long having to talk about it. It's a very simple concept to understand.
About Zenless Zone Zero. I don't know. I feel like his typical rationale and logic is obscured by some unknown variable.
Sorry, but just because a couple of dudes like a fighting game.
This is somebody who is literally like ran to for takes all the time. And that's not like by accident. It's because he gives spectacular level-headed takes.
Doesn't mean
on the spot
that the budget for the advertisement could have been a little bit better spent in a different regard, in my opinion. I don't really think it was the best use of money.
Yeah, so this is where I just strongly disagree. I literally think it's the best use of money. And the only reason
No, you know that's not true, okay? And this is the only thing that this whole video was about, right? I'm not saying it wasn't a good use. I'm saying that there is better uses. Smack is saying this is the #1 best use of their money. And that is just simply Not true.
I said that because like I told y'all, it's the gacha market is saturated. If he comes out, if he says, which I think he does, I think he did it with an anime, brother. The chances of them collaborating with an anime to get a new audience, the chances are the audience that you think is new, they're already a part of the 42 million pre-registers. Oh, we're gonna collaborate Jujutsu Kaisen. Oh, they're a part of the 42 million register already because anime and gacha game players are one and the same. So
you just don't know that. You really don't know that every anime watcher is already playing every gacha game. You just don't know that. Okay? Like, if you want to talk about reaches, you simply cannot prove that. You simply do not know that. You simply just can't. You can't just say, oh, yep, every anime watcher already plays Hoyoverse games. Okay, show me proof of that.
again, the saturation is wild. You can't keep thinking I'm going to collaborate with the same exact fucking community that I have already captured.
Yeah, I know, man. True. That's why we should take anime games and then we should sponsor them towards people who enjoy documentaries because every anime watcher has already watched every anime. We need to put the history of the Genshin Impact anime as an ad for explaining Adolf Hitler on Netflix, so that way we can get a new demographic. Well, I don't know, man. I mean, I feel like the collab I feel like the potential's pretty low there.
Diminishing returns on it.
It's an opportunity cost? Yeah, of course. Absolutely. Why not both? Well, yeah, in a dream sense, sure. You could probably say, oh, yeah, I mean, every person who sees the advertisement is going to go play it, but that might not be the case. I mean,
I think I've made my point here. What I want to get into next is the proof of what I'm talking about. Maximilian, one of my favorite content creators in the space. Tectone as well, by the way. But I absolutely fucking love Max as well. Also one of the most prominent and prevalent creators when it comes to the fighting game genre, Final Fantasy VII. Big fan of the guy, but who gives a fuck about all that?
He didn't finish my video. Didn't see anybody complain about that. However, I will do him the favor of fully reacting to his video. But yes, I would love to see this proof.
Somebody that goes back to that example I was telling you about. If they vouch for something or they speak up on something saying it's massive, there's weight to that word due to the renowned reputation of the creator. Literally, if not the biggest, one of the biggest fighting game creators in space. I'm pretty sure he is the biggest creator in space. Dead ass. I don't think there is a bigger creator than Max. But let's go ahead and take a look at it. What he has to say about it.
Street Fighter and Zenless have a collab? What? I think I might have a Zenless sponsored stream similar to like last time we did one, maybe sometime next month. Wait a minute, what? Zenless Zone Zero is doing a Street Fighter collab? How? Is it costumes? On the 29th, really? It's a round table? Bro, what? Yeah, there's no way it's like a guest character or something.
Keep in mind too, his chat is a fighting game chat. So even if you come to this ridiculous notion that it's just one guy again, I already explained how dumb that is, but look at the chat there.
Right?
True. So because one streamer and chat, which let's just be real, every streamer's chat is an echo chamber of that streamer, right? Just because a chat gets excited because a streamer's excited doesn't mean that it's the truth. Okay? Just like people who just type doesn't mean that they're laughing. They just also want to type okay? But if you're really saying the Zenless Zone Zero and Street Fighter collab is the best collab ever because my favorite streamer, Maximilian Dude, got excited, well then, Jesus Christ.
我只是想带给玩家一个很爽的体验。作品じゃなくて商品作ってる。
What the fuck?
どういう体験をお客さんにしてもらいたいか。仕事会要想办法伝える価値が生まれる。
Bro, what? That's crazy. That's a mobile game? I think Zenless Zone Zero is going to be on everything in the near future. That's crazy, dude. Holy shit. That would be a ridiculous collab, right? Yo,
and that's what I'm trying to say. Like,
wow, man. His reaction was crazy. That's the proof.
the fact that you think fighting game players don't care about this is wild. It's
No, bro. That's legit not even what I'm saying. I even say on stream that, yes, I get it. Fighting game players can like it. But what I'm saying is there are other demographics that would like the crossover more due to higher similarities in the genre. There's less of a barrier to entry to do other games.
so easy.
And also, not to mention, this guy also admitted that he was going to be paid to play it. So you're going to a guy who just admitted that he's going to be sponsored later to play it. So you also don't even know if he's just saying that because he doesn't want to fuck up brand negotiations. This is the whole... oh my God.
For a fighting game player to be of to be of interest to them. You know, like to deny it is just like you're just like fucking denying it just to deny it, bro. But let's go ahead and go to my my community post as well. Okay, so let's click on this. This is the post, by the way. There's a guy, which I think I said this earlier. First of all, I don't even know this guy, right? But he says, fighting game YouTuber here. I play Honkai daily and used to be a big Genshin whale. People are stupid, but everyone online is an expert. This guy actually has raving fans comment on this. Keep in mind, this is my community. This is a dude I've never met before. We're in the gacha space because I'm a gacha content creator these days. Love your stuff, Lotus. Glad to see you here, Lotus. Hey, W Lotus. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, because Lotus the GOAT. No way, Lotus. Yo, Lotus. Hey, yo, is that Lotus? I'm surprised you haven't tried Wuthering Waves yet. W Lotus. This is the...
Dude, are you telling me that Lotus Asakura commented on your community post? Dude, a guy who gets 6,000 views and 10,000 views on his channel commented, dude. Oh my God. Damn, bro. You know what? You're right. I'm wrong.
The gacha space. 179 thumbs up. People already know who he is. That
180 thumbs up after 3 days. Dude, that's 180 players right there. Now the $10 million they spent on this collab is all worth it, dude.
is very telling that fighting game players exist in the gacha space and care about gacha games. So
who is saying they... Show me where I said fighting game players don't play gacha games. Show me where I say that. Show me where I said that. No one's arguing that. Like legit, no one is saying that.
that's like undeniable evidence right there, right? But there's 300.
Undeniable evidence because Maximilian Dude a guy who's sponsored to play it later. Oh my God. Now I'll admit, Smack, if Maximilian just plays Zenless Zone Zero for weeks after launch when he's not sponsored, man, that would be great. But I have a feeling he's not gonna do that. I got a big feeling he's not gonna do that. And who knows, man? Maybe Lotus Sakura will just come on by too, man.
159 comments on my post. It's riddled with people saying I'm a fighting game player. Let's check one out. Wait, gacha loyalists don't know that a lot of fighting game players play gacha games.
At the very start, you literally said it's a fair point to say it's a terrible collab. Yes, the reason why that is because comparatively to other things could be much better. And in a business sense, if you're not spending your dollar as effectively as possible, it's generally a terrible idea. And that's how you go about it. If you cannot assure that the money that you are spending is not as efficient as possible, then you are not going to stay on the top. You can't just be wasting fucking money. You just don't want to do that. You really don't. You want to make sure that the money you're spending is efficient, right? And as efficient as possible. Now, sure, you can make the argument, well, they have $1 billion, so fuck it. Max said the collab is great. Why would you assume he's lying? Because he's sponsored. Yeah, man. Why would you even think that someone who's paid to do something might be disingenuous about it? You're right, bro. Like, what the fuck? Like, okay, so what other games would you say would be better for ZZZ? I would say Nier Automata and maybe Devil May Cry 5. Would be a better crossover. You know, I think that if Virgil were to be inside of Zenless Zone Zero, I think that would be a very, very, very good crossover. Anyways, and that's just off the top of my head. Just thinking. If you want an example, then there's the example if you want. But yeah, I mean, they're both anime games. Nier has combat. Ooh, also Nier, big booty girl. Very cool. And it's a lot less intense of a game than just a fighting genre game. Right, but yeah, that's pretty much. And then maybe give me a little bit more time to think about it. But those are the two off the top of my head. There's probably better ones, but those are just two off the rip.
to some form or extent. It's pretty common for a fighting game player to have 1 or 2 gacha games in the back because it's a nice way to chill out away from locals, majors, and grind sessions. Stress-free and take our minds off of the fighting game in front of us for a second apart from work and shit. The amount of times I've been to a major and I've seen someone on the sticks get on Nikkei, HSR, etc. after playing Attorney can't even be counted on my hands. Hell, Kazunoko is an excellent example. Dude plays tons of gacha games and games with gacha elements. Justin Wong also plays solo leveling. And if you think it's just 1 or 2 guys, keep reading. There's a lot of people here. As someone that's been a part of the fighting game community, I can tell you for sure that a lot of them play mobile gacha games, just that they don't play them with their IRL friends and rarely stream it. If you've ever been to an Evo or any major, you will be well surprised how many are playing mobile gacha games while waiting for their pools to finish. Something I've learned from playing gacha is that too many gacha players lack the ability to critical think. Okay, that's not somebody saying they play it. Arc Knight's a big gacha game, collaborate with Capcom. Okay. In addition, most gacha players play other games too. We're not tied down to one thing. As a fighting game player, it makes me pumped to see these type of collabs. Fighting games and gachas are pretty the only genres I play nowadays. Fighting games and gachas are my 2 favorite genres.
So the sources were his own community post, Maximilian Dude, who confirmed that he's going to be sponsored later to play the game, and then some fighting game YouTuber.
Genres of games. You can scroll down this shit. Fighting game and gacha player here. If this collab is real, I'm gonna be way too stoked. So like the idea and notion is just, like I said, I don't know where the fuck this is coming from. I feel like it's not even like coming from an external objective take. I think it's just, I don't know, these guys are bitter about something. Who the fuck knows? But at the end of the day, as somebody who knows their shit about fighting games and why fighting games are liked by fighting game players, I assure you, Zenless Zone Zero has a lot of similarities. All that fancy ass animation shit, the super moves and stuff, fighting game players.
As a guy who runs a video game publishing company, and as a guy who understands and runs an ad agency, who understands how to collaborate and who to sponsor to play what for highest crossover, and I've been doing that with great success for over 3 years, yeah, I think that's a little bit more of a resume than I really liked a video game. But that's just my opinion. I don't understand why FGC is taking this as a personal attack. It's so weird. I don't understand why FGC is taking this as a personal attack. It's so weird. No, I agree. Like, it's just like, okay. Like, hey, man. Hey, guys, I think we could have spent our money better. You're saying you hate fighting game players? Like, what the fuck?
Players love it. Hot women, they love it. Intricate combat depth, they love it. Okay, character swapping, they love it.
Intricate combat depth. Brother, you're not going to get that in Zenless Zone Zero. You just said something that's not going to be in the game as a mention for why they should play the game. Zenless Zone Zero will not have intricate combat depth. And I guarantee you, any player that can understand the basics of the intricate combat depth in Zenless Zone Zero wouldn't get out of silver rank in Street Fighter fucking 5 or Street Fighter 6.
I rest my case, guys. If you want more proof, go look at this shit yourself. You can go to Max's Twitch VOD if you want to. That's up to y'all. But I think
Seems like you take it as a personal attack as well, though. Yeah, the reason why is because I'm being told that I don't know what I'm talking about when it's quite literally my job that I have done successfully for years. So yeah, it pissed me off a little bit. Once again, at the beginning of this video, I said my stance was, it's a fine collab, but money could have been better used on something else. And I told you Smack's take would be, oh yeah, I really just don't think Tech knows as much about the fighting game community as it is. My viewpoint has once again not changed. I don't know why people think I was ducking this. I just merely thought it was not worth my time because I thought it was a stupid fucking argument. And I knew exactly what the video was going to be before I even clicked it. So you let me know, what am I wrong about? Better yet, let's just talk about it. Guys, how am I wrong? Let me know. How am I wrong? Everything he says actually goes against his point. If FGC players love everything about ZZZ so much, why do they need to collab for it since they should already be playing it? Yeah, I don't know, man. Anything else? You weren't supposed to say that. Okay. Is there any, are you guys still going to be friends? Yeah, absolutely, but we're probably going to get into it the next time we go onto a podcast. Yeah, there was a lot of dumb motherfuckers in my chat spamming me all fucking day when once again I told you the reason why I didn't want to make this video is because I know 1,000,000% now a lot of hate is going to go towards Smack, and that's why I didn't want to make this fucking video. So I'm just letting you know, you guys who got me to react to this video, you are going to be the ones in charge of getting Smack hate now. So just know that that is what you did. I was personally attempting to avoid this video because I wanted my friend to not receive heat. He threw shade at you though, and I was okay with that. I was absolutely okay with that because he was my friend. Aren't you the person who said your community controls your content and when your channel does, it goes downhill? Well, this wasn't my community who came in here. It was somebody else's community. That's why the people who were coming in here who were saying, do this, do that, do this, do that, were all members who followed it less than a week ago. But yeah, it's really not that, it's really not that deep. That makes no sense. Why would you devalue your friend for 30, 45 minutes, then say I don't want pitchforkers to go there? Well, because I kind of had to play the game that Smack was playing, was saying that I don't know shit about fighting games when I very clearly do. And the things that he thought that I didn't know, I also very clearly knew. And it's just kind of the thing where if you come at me one way, I'm going to retaliate the same way. Now, I didn't want to do that, but I did it out of necessity, and I hope that makes sense. I return people's behavior for what they give me back to them. Hopefully that makes sense. Why can't we settle this like real men? Well, dude, we can talk on podcasts whenever we want. I'll make one and I'll invite him to as well. I really hate that I had to record that. I really hate that I'm going to have to upload this, but the people are just being weird as fuck. Smack, I'll be real. You pissed me the fuck off. That being said, I'm in a really bad fucking mood. And unfortunately, I can't even tell you I'm in a bad mood. Unfortunately. That being said, I still got nothing but respect for Gachasmack. But that being said, don't tell me that I don't know how to do my career. Okay? I know how to do my career. Hey, listen, I get it. If I was telling you, you know, like, hey, man, Gachasmack's channel sucks. But I wasn't doing that shit. All I'm saying is money could have been better spent somewhere else. That's it. Hey, I'm done. Anyways, I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.